Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me for another episode of The Chamber Within. I hope you all were able to get through your week with ease. I wanted to share some fears I'm actively overcoming and hopefully inspire you to do the same. Next year, around springtime, hopefully earlier, I'd like to be on camera so there's another level of connection I'm able to share with you. Since beginning this podcast, I've gained some confidence with who I am and my story of awakening. Last year, while I was going through a few challenges, I wrote about all the things I was afraid to say aloud and called the ebook The Chamber Within. I called it that because it was how I found a greater part of myself through meditation, sort of like an inner room that hadn't been opened yet. And of course, that room was open through the door of meditation. I was able to express the ideas of what I had experienced, like my 3 out of body experiences and the visions I had while in meditation. I really wanted to show you what I had seen as well, so much so that I began to paint and draw to try to recreate these visions, but they looked terrible. I was able to utilize AI by describing to a T exactly what I was seeing in my mind. And I used these illustrations of my ebook in the chapters where I talked about my meditation so that you were able to experience them firsthand, like I was. Like I put it in a first person's point of view, showing these scenes. Now that I've said all that, I will say this. No one in my family or friend group knows about this channel. I mentioned it briefly to my daughter that I was starting a podcast, but never mentioned it again because of my fear. I said playfully something to the effect of, I'm not sharing the title or the name of my podcast. And in true Gen Z fashion, she replied saying, as if I wouldn't be able to find you. Like, duh. Meaning, if she wanted to, she could look up my information and find my content. Uh-oh. This is what I was thinking. That oddly enough struck fear into my heart. Why? I don't know. The silly part is I want to connect with others like me. And I find people who have shared these occurrences really brave. But why I can't just be as brave? So I unpack this fear with each post in personal introspections. I just want to add, I think it's because I feel safe in spaces where there are others like me, and those who haven't experienced it um, may see me as an oddball, but I don't care enough to stay in hiding, I guess, is the best rationale behind this, contradicting thoughts and actions, right? I'm afraid, but I'm doing it anyway. I don't want to be a big chicken anymore. So I stepped out into the light little by little, and that made me think of the many ways we may trick ourselves into staying in the dark, in the shadows where it may feel safe. And the truth is, it isn't safe, it's just comfortable. We understand the dark, and our eyes, metaphorically, are already adjusted to it. We get comfortable in our jobs that make us feel terrible and drained at the end of the day. We get accustomed to our bodies that we take for granted, feeding it things that it may not be beneficial for it to be as healthy as it could possibly be. We don't take it for walks or exercise because it's less comfortable than sitting down. And for me, I was just comfortable with holding in all the things that were outside of the norm until it was just too much to bear. So I began to share little by little my writings on my Substack and then eventually the podcast, which for me helped because it began to release the pressure that was building upon itself. It was like holding on to a secret that was eating me up inside. We are in this time of the Great Awakening, and to not share my awkwardness around the issue would be a disservice to others experiencing the same. So this past week, I was job hunting, and for one freelance job, was asked to link my LinkedIn page, and in parentheses it said, those who do will be considered over those who do not. Now, personally, I haven't touched my LinkedIn page for about 12 to 13 plus years, but for this opportunity, I decided to update it, and instead of just going along with the masses, I went into my discomfort zone and shared my podcast as who and what I am. I initially tried to fit in. When I say masses, it's not in a negative way, but I tried to fit in. I put in all my skills. I put in the jobs that I've had, and updated my resume. And it's like putting a square peg into a round hole. It just didn't feel right. And I just had this nudge, like this, and I recognize them now, this gentle nudge to share who I am for real. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to share my podcast and claim what I want boldly. And I decided to bring all my fears to the forefront. So the podcast feels like a big secret, but I figured, why not? I said, you know what I want? A different life. I know how to play the old game, but I want to play the new game, the game of co-creation. So let's do this. I found a brave bone in my body. I searched and searched, but I finally found it that day, and I posted it on my LinkedIn. And here's my post. This is a real thought that I've been having for quite some time, and I figured this was the place to share it. How do you have a spiritual awakening and still go to your 9 to 5? I asked myself that question for years. Eventually, I realized you don't leave your consciousness at home, you take it with you. Because maybe someone around you may need that steady, grounded vibe. And if people don't make use of it, that's cool too, no pressure. Awakening isn't about escape, it's about embodying peace, wherever you are, even at work. Now, that was the post, and I don't give a rip if this may be cringy to someone because this is who I am. And furthermore, I think it might just be cringy to me. Now that I really have a chance to think about it, I'm judging myself for choosing this, and that really feels good to unpack because I'm taking the pressure off. Okay. Well, anyway, I plow forward with the risk of standing out like a sore thumb, but I did find some like minds on there, and actually another author. She goes by the name of Joffrey McClung, and she is a spiritual / personal growth author and teacher, speaker, and inspirational blogger. So I know that I am not alone, and it is literally about being honest with myself. At my job currently, I am a supervisor and I lead a team, and I am always team people first. I like the vibe. I like that we get along. And more importantly, I like that they feel comfortable talking with me. Although I am looking to leave, I make the best of my days there. If life is truly what we make it, and I believe it is, then here's to a midlife reinvention of authenticity, congruency, if you will. This is me. Now, I'm not sure where this will lead, but it won't be a dead end. Hiding is the dead end. And I so want to live in a space where I am fully seen. They say if you are true to yourself, then you attract those with like minds. Not being true attracts people to the facade of the personality you curate. And at this age, I just don't have the energy to fake it. What's one thing you've always wanted to do but were too afraid to follow through with? Going to the movies alone? Is it dining out alone? Is it being on camera? Social media? Or is it simply claiming how you feel? Is it a complete overhaul of what you have created thus far? That's fine too. I've been there. The book, The Power of Awareness, is a great roadmap of how to get from where you are to where you would like to be. It helps you utilize your imagination for good instead of for worries and doom. I have an excerpt here I'd like to read to you. This small book, The Power of Awareness, also includes Awakened Imagination. So it's like a smaller read in the back of the book. And this particular excerpt is from Awakened Imagination. The chapter is The Coin of Heaven. Your inner speech is perpetually written all around you in happenings. Learn to relate these happenings to your inner speech, and you will become self-taught. By inner speech is meant those mental conversations which you carry on with yourself. They may be inaudible when you are awake because of the noise and distractions of the outer world of becoming, but they are quite audible in deep meditation and dream. But whether they be audible or inaudible, you are their author and fashion your world in their likeness. There's a quotation here from the book of Daniel, chapter 2, verse 28, and it goes, "There is a God in heaven, and heaven is within you, that revealeth secrets, and maketh known to the king Nebuchadnezzar what shall be in the latter days. Thy dream and the visions of thy head upon thy bed are these." End quote. It says, inner speech from premises of fulfilled desire is the way to create an intelligible world for yourself. Observe your inner speech, for it is the cause of future action. Inner speech reveals the state of consciousness from which you view the world. Make your inner speech match your fulfilled desire, for your inner speech is manifested all around you in happenings. The whole manifested world goes to show us what use we have made of the word inner speech. An uncritical observation of our inner talking will reveal to us the ideas from which we view the world. Inner talking mirrors our imagination, and our imagination mirrors the state with which it is fused. If the state with which we are fused is the cause of phenomenon in our life, then we are relieved of the burden of wondering what to do. For we have no alternative but to identify ourselves with our aim. And inasmuch as the state with which we are identified mirrors itself in our inner speech, then to change the state with which we are fused, we must first change our inner talking. It is our inner conversations which make tomorrow's facts. I always say, be mindful of your thoughts. It is so critical to get a hold of them, to get ahead of them, if you will, because they could be telling you a detrimental story, something that is not going to serve you. I'm no good at this. I can't do this. I cannot do that. Get ahead of them and be a part of the co-creation of your life. I do not have sophisticated equipment. I have a microphone that cost me $5. One day I have a better one. I think it's in storage, but one day I see myself on camera, conversing with you, building a community, but it all starts with what we believe ourselves to be, right? The inner talk. And I just jumped on it. I just started to share. And now we have this. And I'm telling you, from book to action, it's so helpful. There's way more stuff in the book. And if you're interested, you can certainly, obviously, purchase it and see how beneficial it is to you and your life. But I wanted to reiterate how important it is to utilize this imagination for your benefit. I share my fears so that you understand that I am no different from anyone else, obviously. And then I share my encouragements, because encouragement is not an isolated action in life. If I feel encouragement from something I read or experience it, I'd like to share it because I want to encourage you as well. Just like Neville Goddard learned how to use these mental acts to create a better life for himself. I share what I know so that you can do the same. Perhaps grab the book, discuss so that you can see for yourself, and then you can share with others, so on and so forth, because blessings multiply as we share and share alike. If you'd like to get the book, the title is called, once again, The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. And it also includes Awakened Imaginations. If you'd like to read my book, The Chamber Within, you can find it in my Stan store at stan.store/the_chamber_within. Additionally, I'd also like to make this a more interactive podcast. So if you have any questions about the spiritual awakenings or anything related to that, comments on past podcasts, my email is at thechamberwithin@yahoo.com. In addition to that, I also have a YouTube channel at The Chamber Within, which is my handle. And that's where I will start to upload videos in the future when I am able to be on camera. Thank you again for joining me this week. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead. I'll talk to you later. Toodaloo.